Do you understand Mr. King's role to be in the convoy prior to that conversation?
I believe he was helping with some logistics. He was, I think because of his previous experience with United We Roll, he had a pretty good idea as to the routes that they would be taking. Fuel, helping to try and find fuel, that type of thing.
If we could pull up COM 50902. While this is coming up, Ms. Leach, this is a news article that's reporting on text messages between you and Mr. Barber that was referenced during Mr. Barber's testimony.
Yes.
And well, before we get to my questions, we've been advised by your counsel that you no longer have access to your text messages. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
What happened to them?
Well, I was in jail for 19 days, and of course my phone was inundated with messages, and apparently I found out after the fact there's a setting that you can have on your iPhone where you can have them automatically delete after 30 days, and it was set to that.
So we go to page 3 of this article. You see where it says on January 22nd, you see that?
I do, sir.
Okay, so it says, on January 22nd, Leach told Barber that they need to have a very frank discussion with King, raising concerns about past allegations against him. Do you see that?
I do.
Do you recall what the concerns were at this point in time?
Well, up until then, I've obviously followed that through the United We Roll convoy, and so that I knew him by reputation also, and Pat has Mr. King, sorry, has a lot of people that like him and a lot of people that don't. He's a very controversial figure, so I was getting messages and phone calls from a lot of people that were concerned that he was involved. This frank discussion, I believe, came about because somebody had contacted me and mentioned that Mr. King had lied about being a veteran, and which is a very serious allegation, and I just felt like we needed to have a discussion with him and, a frank discussion, and I guess find out the details.
And what was your concern at that point?
Well, there was people that were not joining the convoy because they were concerned about him, and again, because of his reputation.
Mikey, are you on the line, Mikey?
I know he has said a lot of inflammatory things, which I was concerned about. And I was concerned that would have an impact on what we were trying to achieve. It would take away the focus from what it was we were trying to achieve.
So at this point in time, January 22nd, you were aware of King's reputation for saying inflammatory things?
Yes.
Controversial things?
Yes, sir.
Things that people may find racist?
Yes.
Okay. Have you ever been offended by anything that Mr. King had said?
I'm not the type that gets easily offended, sir.
But you recognize that some people would take offense and that could have an effect on the image of the convoy?
Yes.
And I thought I heard you say, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that you were actually receiving messages from people who were expressing a reluctance to participate because of Mr. King's involvement. Did I get that correctly?
That's correct.
Do you have a sense of how many messages you received on those?
I had a conversation with my MP about his involvement, and with that he was concerned about it. Cindy Parker had concerns about him also that she'd raised right away. And I don't know how many messages there was concerns, but there was also people that were there because Pat was involved too. Like I said, he did have his followers also, right?
Right, and if we continue to look at the story, it goes on to say that despite the concerns we just talked about, You said that he was needed by the movement. Then it makes a commentary about later comments, and then it quotes you, later statements, sorry, then it quotes you as saying, we don't care about his past, but it only takes one. We have to control his rhetoric, not even threatening to throw snowballs at Parliament. When you said,
I like your name, Dr.
is
UPS.
that what you were referring to, that you followed?
Your name, Dr. UPS.
That was a reference to conversations that we'd had with our friends, and some of them had been involved from the start, and I think he looked after the accommodations or something to St. Marty because he's from that area. So, yeah, so that wasn't necessarily me saying I felt like he was needed. That I was kind of referencing the conversations in general that we were having, and some of them felt that they were concerned that if he left, that the people that supported him would leave. My reference to it
fucking bitch. Fuck you, man. Get behind the wall, you fucking motherfucker.
That everybody that was involved was getting involved for the right reasons.
Sit down, bitch.
And as I said,
behind the wall, you fucking bitch.
that I found out that they were involved, I was aware of his reputation.
There's trials. What the fuck? No trials?
I just felt
Well, what the fuck is going on? No saying fucking bitch. What the? Who cares? I'll wait for Tuesday. No dungeon. Fuck
I
yeah.
just felt like
No dungeon coming out.
that
Fucking.
we're joining it.
No, what's it called?
Regardless
Fucking
of
five banner.
cast.
At this point in time, do you think Mr. King was participating for the
Fucking motherfucker.
I believe he is a passionate Canadian.
Yes, fucking bitch.
So is that a yes?
Yes.
It says here that we have to control his rhetoric. At that point in time, did you think you had
You fucking bitch and you fucking yo, my girl, you fucking thing, you dumb bitch.
He's kind of a beast, and he very much speaks his mind.
You're your fucking mother, fuck you, man.
I, again, was just concerned with, to be frank,
What the fuck you doing, man, with your mother in the back, you fucking dumb.
and I was just concerned
Fucking
that
dumb.
he would say things or say controversial things or inflammatory things, and so that's why I added them out.
You're this bitch.
Threatening to throw snowballs at Parliament, because that's not what we're here for,
You're
right?
this bitch.
So,
If we can pull up
You're this fucking
we
bitch.
understand that at a certain point you had a
You're this
conversation
fucking bitch. Look at me again, you fucking bitch, man.
to not come to Ottawa.
that's correct.
And it's
You
understandable.
fucking bitch, look at you doing,
Does
man.
that sound correct?
It was in Sudbury.
And describe that conversation with the commission.
Well, we pulled into Sudbury, I believe it was by
You're behind the wall.
the wrong turn.
You're behind the wall, fucking mother, huh?
So
Fuck you, man.
had a break,
You
and
and your fucking mother and your fucking fuck you fucking bitch, man.
Mr. King
I will
over to the
fuck
truck,
you,
and
bitch.
he said to me, I can't go into Ottawa, I'm getting death threats. And I said, good Pat, you shouldn't come into Ottawa. And
You will go fuck yourself with your fucking mother, you fucking motherfucker, man. Sit in the back, that's no skill,
I
man.
said, no, you didn't.
No, the fucking right, man. What you know is it, man? Fuck you.
This was a team effort.
Man,
We all had
you're fucking stupid.
this, and
You can't compete with mine in the back, man.
I'm not going to Ottawa anymore. And I the whole thing, and I
You're
said,
fucking dumb.
no, you
You're
don't.
lying, you're sniping on you, fucker.
Not about you.
You're gonna get sniped, you fucking bitch. Actually, I'm gonna show you something. Sorry.
And if you care about this movement,
Oh, cheers to my rich. God bless you.
In his testimony yesterday,
Yeah, to my rich.
that you had said you needed
Freedom George, here's one for you.
to hear that.
I did hear that.
And one for, there's one for you.
Uh,
So,
maybe he just doesn't.
freedom. Freedom.
So ultimately, as we know, Mr. King didn't take your direction. He did come to Ottawa, is that correct?
Yes.
And how did you feel when you learned that he was still coming?
I had other things to focus on, and so once we got to Ottawa, I think I saw him
Like what?
4 or 5 times maybe. just leaving. And so I didn't have a lot of interactions with him when we were there.
To your knowledge, prior to February 14th, and we'll get to that later, but prior to February 14th, did Pat King George say anything that caused you concern while he was on?
I heard a lot of rumors, but I heard a lot of rumors. So, again, I had other things to worry about. I met the drunkers and the road captains.
Freedom George, Oscar Art, no, Oscar Art, Freedom George. What do you call that? By Oscar Art.
All demands therapy, intensive moisturizing lotion for more intense hydration.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back with Margaret.
Oscar Art, I love you.
Since we've seen each other, how long has it been?
Well, I think since 2021, I would say,
Physically.
yeah, that was really great. Lockdowns, and got in prison during lockdowns, told me to go to
Oscar Gary Grimer's going to jail.
the American people. I never forget that moment, of course, and if people are interested to see my book, I wrote a book in prison in solitary confinement. Lions Do Not Bow. You can get it on Amazon.com, Amazon.ca. But I remember I was in prison with my brother David for hosting a church service. After all the crimes, I was charged with David for organizing an illegal gathering, participating in illegal gathering, and officiating an illegal gathering. Of course, after I was charged dozens and dozens of times of ridiculous charges. Ultimately, as you know, I was charged with terrorism for summoned to the truckers during the drug convoy, and I was convicted. I was sentenced. I was in prison for that summon, where 3 times I told the Canadian people to stay peaceful, no guns, no swords. I reminded them about the history of Poland, the Solidarity movement. Going back to where we met, we were in prison with my brother David, and we just got back from court where we were shackled like animals and taken before the crooked judge. The judge's name is Adam Germain.
Yeah, Adam Germain.
The titles and the names of those crooked people is in my book, Lions Do Not Bow. We were taken there, shackled, with my brother David, and we were sitting over there, and the judge starts the proceedings by quoting the CBC and CNN. I just couldn't believe it. We're in the middle of this pandemic, blah, 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 blah. It's just like I turned to my brother David and I said, this guy has nothing to do with law and order. This is a political operative. I mean, this guy works for CNN. He is not a judge. He's a political advocate. This guy.
And if I can interject real quick, Beth Arthur is a pastor in Canada who was dealing with, back in the COVID days, which we now finally can say, was being told not to have a service, and the Gestapo, the Canadian Gestapo came in and went after him, arrested him, and still, does the struggle continue? I mean, the COVID thing is pretty much some new virus is getting released from China or something. But what is the situation on the ground in Canada with the virus?
Nothing changed. Like I said in the beginning, we are truly living behind the iron curtain under the boots of a hybrid fascist, communist, socialist, globalists that are telling you will own nothing and you will be happy right while they are accumulating the biggest amounts of wealth that this earth has ever seen. But let me finish what happened in jail, because I think it's important for American people to hear this again. When I was there for the bogus charges of being, charged with criminal offenses for just doing my job as a master, David talked to me after we were taken back to jail from seeing that crooked judge, Adam Germain, and he said, what are you going to do? I said, well, I had no idea. I mean, I've never seen
I can't even finish
corruption
please.
at this level in this country. I mean, those guys are crooks, they're liars. The police officers are not acting as the law enforcement agency.
Fucking hell, man, I'm these fucking guys.
That's why I call them Gestapo, because Gestapo sent me Gestapo coming on the time of the Nazi. They means political police. They were not here to enforce the law. They were here to subdue the people, to put them in their place, under the wishes of corrupt politicians. So that's why I call them, I call them by their proper pronouns. But when I was sitting in
I am a person on every house application. I am the
I don't know what to do anymore. I guess I need to take a step back and go to America and let the American people know what is happening, because they're next, and the message did not change with him.
You know what? Do you download fucking for your game fucking for application what you call us? Game? My call that is
Even Canada has GM teams of Chinese troops being trained by the Canadian Armed Forces in Alberta, in British Columbia. You're right, President Donald J. Trump is right when it comes to the threat from the north and the fentanyl, because 99% of the ships that are going on the water, so it's like an open door of a never-ending flow of drugs, illegal immigrants, terrorists, and of course, as you know, thousands of terrorists are crossing the borders from Canada to United States. Americans have been focused on the southern border so much that they missed the boat, in my opinion, not recognizing the threat from the north. You're being attacked from every angle. And why is that? Because America is a symbol, and the enemy always goes after the symbols. And I remember I boarded the plane during the time that no one was allowed to fly. My God told me to go, so I bought tickets, me and my son, Nathaniel, you met, and off we went to America. And by the miracle of God, we were allowed to enter and fly, which was like a ghost town at that time. We were pretty much alone in the entire plane. It was crazy. It was so real. But I remember when I prayed in that plane, and I said, what do you want me to tell the American people? And he said to me, as clearly as you can hear my voice, this is what he said: tell this great American eagle that it's time for that eagle to rise up once again and stop flapping its wings. And I was shocked, because God really as a nation that stood for what's right before, and he wants the American people to do it again, not just with your lips, but with your works, with your deeds,
Their actions.
the actions, right? America is very important in this fight against the globalist agenda, the 2030 agenda, whatever you want to call it, WEF garbage. And, you own nothing and you'll be happy. Idea 15-minute cities that are being already implemented in Canada as we speak right now. So, it's very important, because if America goes down, if this great American eagle goes down, so goes the free world, and we're going to head into a revolution, into a war, the Great War. So, Donald J. Trump, your president is doing is right. Sometimes he's misunderstood. Sometimes people don't understand because they don't have enough information to what's really going on. But I can testify to you that when he speaks about the threat from the northern border, it's real. When he's saying that fentanyl comes from the north, that's true. And it's happening every single day. So,
Let me just question why you think the Canadian government is not handling it. Are they doing anything about the border, their southern border, our northern border? Is the Canadian government doing anything to stop this, what you're talking about, the
is happening on a regular, on a daily basis. So
The U.S. is not doing anything on the southern border. Is what you're
the
saying?
government is not doing anything. The Canadian government is not doing anything. And the American government is so entangled with so many other fights that they just don't have enough manpower because the border is huge. It's one of the biggest, if not the biggest on earth, between America and Canada. So they're in a big trouble. We have already been subdued, and that's a sad part. Canadians are already living in a soft totalitarian regime, if you will, police state. I don't know if you're watching Canadian news, but the big news right now is about the climate. That one of the premiers like your governor, just outlawed going to the wilderness. You're not allowed to go to the parks. You're not allowed to go to the forest. You're not allowed to go anywhere outside because of the climate, because of the fires. That's how they're spinning. And if you do go into the wilderness, if you go on a hike, if you go for a walk with your dog in the forest, it's $25,000 a penalty. So I said it from the very beginning, and I'm going to say it again. Those people have no intention of stopping. They have no intention of stopping.